Hey y'all, so it is day 3, day 4, and y'all are still not letting up on Dr. Jackie. Here are some of her patient stories from TikTok.
Sometimes, as African American women, we're a bit more dramatic, and that you go to the doctor and you complain and you complain and you complain, and you're not taken serious because you cried wolf the entire pregnancy.
That ain't me, boo. I don't know what you talking about, but go ahead.
I didn't say you. I just said as African American women, we want to also make sure you're being serious with your doctor and not playing the game so I can take you off work. Because then we see you 25 times in the pregnancy. It's hard to believe that there's a true problem when there's a true problem.
First off, I don't like talking bad about Black business owners or Black businesses. Sometimes as Black women, we do have to speak up. So around September, October of 99, I got pregnant. I was working for Universal Circus. And one of my coworkers told me about Dr. Jackie, saying that she was Toni Braxton's doctor. We just got insurance. I was like, cool, I'll go to her. So this is my first pregnancy appointment ever. My baby daddy was like, well, do you want me to go? And I was like, nah, don't go. Go to the second one. The only reason why I told him that is because he asked a lot of questions and he be getting on my nerves. So I was just like, you know what? Let me just go to this one by myself. Well, that was a bad idea because as soon as Dr. Jackie came into the office, she was like, hi. She asked me my name, and that's when it just went downhill from there. She was looking at my records and she was like, oh, it looks like you're not married. I said, no, I'm not. And she was like, well, where's the father? And my naive self said, oh, well, I told him not to come. She asked me, so you didn't think that your first doctor's appointment about your pregnancy wasn't important enough for the father of your child to come to? Y'all, I went into that doctor's office feeling like this. But after she said that, I felt like this. She continued to be very judgmental and belittle me through the whole appointment, saying things like, if the father was here and if you was married, and she's saying these things as she's doing her OBGYN stuff. She kept going back and forth from being shady to being professional. And the more she talked, my self-esteem went from here to here to here. I just remember thinking in my head, oh, I gotta find me another doctor. We didn't have internet at my house at the time, but I just remember thinking, as soon as I get home, I'm going to go back into that big, thick book that they give you with all the doctors in it. I was going to go through that and find me another doctor. So I remember leaving the appointment with my due date and prenatal pills. Everything else is just a blur. I ended up getting laid off, so I decided to move back to our hometown to have our child. So I ended up losing my health care coverage and ended up having to go on Medicaid. I don't know what they did to Medicaid now, but back in the late 1900s, having Medicaid was the shit. I ended up going to this white doctor because I was just like, you know what, I'll just go to anybody after Dr. Jackie. And after that first appointment, I was like, yeah, I need to find me another doctor. I ended up going on different hospital tours, and I was highly recommended to another Black doctor at Baptist Health. Shout out to Dr. Mark Spence in South Miami. However, I did not have a good experience in the hospital because the nurses felt like I was being very dramatic whenever I had my labor pains. As soon as I saw the epidural person come in, I got quiet and I just started relaxing myself because I was not trying to get paralyzed when they were administering the epidural. So I got the epidural, and then the person goes and says, oh, well, I thought you were going to be a problem. And I was like, why would you think that? And they were like, oh, the nurses already warned me about you. And he was like, oh, well, they told me that you've been screaming the whole time that you've been here. And one of the raggedy nurses was in the room when he said this. So my mama turns to the raggedy nurse and the epidural man and was like, I've had 5 girls. So when you're having a baby, you're not supposed to scream? And that raggedy nurse looked at my mama and said, not the way she's screaming. And this was back in 2000, so I'm not surprised to see that Dr. Jackie said all of this about Black women when it comes to being pregnant. It's not only insensitive, but it's very dangerous. I feel like a lot of healthcare providers and Dr. Jackie do not think Black women are human. I think that they don't give a fuck about their Black patients. And there's a lot of greedy healthcare providers with a lot of hatred for their Black patients. And if you're a healthcare provider and you get offended by this, then you're exactly who I'm talking about.
Y'all, I'm seeing Dr. Jackie all over my For You page in regards to the comments she made about black women, and I just want to give my 2 cents. I chose Dr. Jackie because, she's in the Atlanta area. She was a black female doctor, and knowing like the high mortality rate with black women during childbirth, I wanted to feel protected, so I wanted a black doctor. But honestly, this was the most traumatic birthing experience I could have possibly thought I would have went through. To make a long story short, the day I turned 38 weeks, Dr. Jackie decided to induce me because they thought my baby had a low birth weight, meaning they thought he only weighed like 5 pounds. I went to the hospital that day not knowing that I was finna be spending the next 3 days in labor, in excruciating pain. And not only was it painful for me, it was painful for my child because his heart rate was going up and down, up and down, up and down, with them trying to exhaust every option they could to get him out of me. So when all their methods failed, they ended up telling me that I had to have an emergency C-section because his heart rate had got too low. And y'all, when I tell y'all I was bawling from the moment they told me to the moment they put me on a table, crying, couldn't talk, like I couldn't even open my mouth. After that was all said and done, weighed him, he ended up being 6 pounds, 8 ounces, meaning he didn't have a low birth weight and he could have stayed in me until he was ready to come out. Mind you, in those 3 days, I didn't see Dr. Jackie one time. Not one time did I see her. And I had my baby during COVID, so it was only one person allowed in the delivery room, me and my mom, and I was scared out of my mind, okay? Scared. And then my baby, like now he has like developmental delays, and I don't know if I should associate that with them inducing me, because personally I feel like if they let him cook a little bit longer, he would have been fine. But who am I to say that's correlated? But that's just my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I will not be going back to her.
And she ain't no friend of nobody. She talked about Toya, blah blah blah. But Simone has an amazing bedside manner. She is a good doctor. And I've said over the years, even post what they did to me, that I didn't appreciate the fact that they treat her like she's not a physician and that all the doctor questions go to Jackie and they talk to her like an afterthought. I was pleasantly surprised to see that Andy asked her the first, like, really all the questions with all the doctor stuff. And then Simone started like just feeling herself and like, you're smart, you're not dumb, speak up. And she didn't let Jackie wasn't saying nothing. And listen, if looks could kill, Jackie looked mad as hell that Andy asked Simone those questions instead of her. She actually looked like a deer caught in headlights. So I like the package where they're.
So let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.